This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show.
Hi, I'm Jake,
And I'm V,
and you're listening to the It's Working podcast.
where we take deep dives into mental health, breaking stigmas, and starting conversations.
Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
We are not healthcare professionals, and our opinions should not be taken as facts or as medical advice. To see any sources, resources, or study we speak about in this podcast, please check out our website, linked in the description of this podcast. If you or a loved one is struggling, there is hope and there is help. Some helpful resources can be found on our website, linked in the description of this podcast. It's Working Podcast is a production from the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. All opinions in this podcast belong to our hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. Alright guys, we are back, and today's topic, slightly for an older audience, but you youngins out there who are probably not listening to this, will probably want to save this and come back to it in like 3 years, because for whatever reason at 17 we think we're an adult, and then 20 hits and you realize you're not yet grown.
It's a whole different beast.
It's a whole different beast. 3 years later, you're 23 and you're just now feeling like you're getting somewhere, and then you hit 26 and you just give up on life.
Okay, wait, so are they coming back at 20, 23, or 26?
All of them.
Oh, jeez.
Whenever you feel like you're an adult, remember that you're not, because none of us know what we're doing, and
So
that's the truth.
This episode's going to be like CPR certification, come back and re-up on every 3 years?
Re-up on every 3 years. So before we record, as we always do, we have the most interesting conversations.
We do.
Yes, and it's a struggle because it's
man.
like, why didn't I just turn on? Why don't I just have a recorder going in all moments that you and I are in a room together, Jake?
I oftentimes wonder that as well. Why aren't we just recording all the time?
Oh my god, are we gonna start a vlog channel? Is that what is happening here?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. Well, we'll visit that after we're done with the It's Working podcast. One project at a time.
One project at a time. So we're at very different points in our life, you and I, Jake.
Yeah.
You're in your early 20s. I am exiting my 20s, screaming and kicking, being dragged by my hair, tears rolling down my face.
Oh no.
And, you know, in all respective purposes, we don't seem like we're in super different places in our lives, but every now and then something will come out of my mouth and you look at me like, what did that old lady just say?
How often does that happen, though?
Pretty often, a lot of times, with my TV and movie references when it's not Star Wars related.
Okay, alright, you got me there.
Yeah. And you now are experiencing for the first time in your young life what it's like to be an elder in a situation.
Ugh.
Let's call this particular individual Lotus Flower.
I like that. That seems like a suitable name for them.
Yes, so Lotus Flower is a young person, not super young. He's technically legally an adult, although I have a lot of gripes with the lines that we legally put adults in and what we do and do not allow them, but that's not what this episode's about.
Right.
So this young person has been looking to you as kind of a mentor, kind of a superior, but also as a friend.
Yeah.
And sometimes he doesn't realize when he's crossing boundaries with that.
No, yeah, more often lately than not, actually. And I think that's very frustrating because you're right. This is my first stint in like elderism. I used to be able to get away with being like, oh, well, I'm only 21. I don't know better. I'm only 22. I'm still learning. 23 up until 24. Now I am a quarter of a century, and
You're an adult.
The rules have changed. Yeah, I am now often the oldest member in a gathering, and people look to me for wisdom and guidance, and I'm like, I don't know, guys. But with Lotus Flower in particular, it's a difficult situation because we have that sort of like what is the term for when you have multiple facets to a relationship? It's the
okay, there's a word for this.
Right. Like,
I don't know the word, but maybe one of our smart listeners.
Is it a dual relationship or is it like a
multifaceted? Yeah,
we'll stick with that. I don't want to get hung up on the terminology. Yeah, but it's because you're right. Like, I'm a mentor to them. I'm also an authority and then a friend. Lines get crossed. Lines are blurred out a lot in multiple avenues of life, and so they have been becoming a little less respectful of those lines now, where I find myself being blown off sometimes, and I am now understanding how my parents felt at certain points. Even though I would like to point out, I don't think I was ever like the rebellious teen. Or my rebellion probably took other forms.
Yeah, I can't imagine you being like, fight the power, take down the establishment.
No. My rebellion took form in isolation. If I was rebelling, I was out in the garage making noise with power tools. That's how I rebelled.
Oh. That's a lot healthier than what I did. I stole cigarettes from one parental figure and blamed it on the other one and vice versa, so they both thought each other was stealing each other's cigarettes. And I had all the cigarettes that 16-year-old me could smoke, and I still have long issues. And I'm asthmatic.
That's not great.
But people would keep pointing out that I had a 4.2 GPA average, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Okay, I suppose. It certainly could have been worse, but that also isn't great.
No. You and I are also very different people.
We are definitely. But so that's where I'm at. I'm struggling with that right now. It's like it's very important, especially with Lotus Flower, that line be respected, because it applies to multiple parts of our lives.
There's one point in your life to respect Lotus's flower identity. We are really going to remove how you're connected from this individual. Mm-hmm. But in one facet of your relationship with Lotus Flower, you are an authority figure who should be listened to and respected in a particular manner. Mm-hmm. And in that manner, you were treated very much as a buddy instead of as an authority figure.
Yeah. And that can't stand.
And while you and I have a separate relationship that kind of also parallels that, in our LARPing group, for example, you are my superior. Mm-hmm. And while I do tease you a lot about, me being the elder and you should respect your elders and pushing every button that I can, when you tell me no, I listen to you, and I take it as this is Albert wearing this hat, not my friend Jake, who I can bring into my girl dungeon.
Yeah, and record up and bully and yeah. I need that. This relationship that we have, I need that also reflected in the relationship I have with Lotus Flower, because that's fine. Like, I don't mind messing around with you, being a superior in that way, and then also being able to like have fun, because I am a superior by name and by status, but certainly not by lived experience and all the other ways that one can be superior to another.
I don't know if superior is like the right even term for a lot of situations where it's used. Yeah, like authority figure works. I think boss or manager even kind of like fits better, even though it's not a job role.
More like a lead.
Yeah, more like a lead. Mm-hmm. But with the nature of having a situation where you're not only somebody's superior, but you're somebody's friend, I think it's extra important for both parties to recognize what hat should be worn. When you're wearing a hat that's, right now I am their superior, right now I am their friend.
Yeah.
I had a boss who I will call, I'll call her Fluffy. Fluffy was the best boss I ever had and one of the best friends I've ever had. And I could have worked for her for the rest of my life because she did an excellent job of knowing when to be a stern authority figure with me and when to give me 15 minutes off and just to be a friend for a little bit.
Gotcha.
I was just past 18 when I started working for her, and I worked for her up until I was like 22, and I thoroughly miss it. Like, when I mess up, she knew how to reprimand me in a way that me, as your boss, Fluffy, is telling you as my employee that you did this, this, and this wrong. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just means don't do this, this, and that.
Yeah. And that's a great way to put that. And in fact, I might want to start adopting similar language. Like, listen, this isn't Jake, your friend, telling you this. This is Albert, emissary of Arkenstone, like, telling you this is now violating things.
And I don't know how she figured out how to do that, but she balanced it great. She did. I also invited her to my wedding, and it was great seeing her. And in that moment, we were just friends. And I really hope that I have a boss like her again one day because she was great. My elder sister and I used to talk about like what it was like to be adult, because we had, even though we are full siblings and we're the only full siblings out of our whole family, we had very different upbringings because there is an age gap. And we were talking about what it's like to be adult, and I really like hold on to the way that she says it, and I say it all the time, and I don't credit her as much as I should. But she says, you know, whenever I feel overwhelmed, I know I'm an adult, but I start looking around for a more adulty adult to help me adult. And Amber, I know you don't listen to this, but on the off chance that somebody makes you listen to this, thank you for that phrasing, because I feel like it has really helped me move forward and understanding that it's okay that I'm not good at adulting the adultness. And her and I are also very different people in a different way than you and I are different people, Jake.
Yeah.
Because often what would happen as soon as I turned, I want to say like 23, like your age, I started dealing with her adulty stuff. I would help her with like paperwork. We would brainstorm together. I was adultified rather young. So sometimes I very much deal with problems quicker than she does. And I think that's something else that needs to be recognized, is not all adults adult in the same way.
That's very fair.
I'm very much a steamroller. If I see something needs to get done, I just do it to the detriment of myself, even if it like is something that I shouldn't do or shouldn't be my responsibility. I will do it, and it will suck. But my sister, on the other hand, kind of like shrinks away and puts on the back burner and prioritizes stuff in a different way that I do. Not saying that it's one way is right or wrong, because there's not a right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah, her system is different from yours.
Yeah. And it can sometimes be frustrating for adults to be like, this is how an adult should deal with stuff, but not all adults deal with stuff in the same way, because we're not one monotonous thing. It's not like you turn 18 and you're given the keys to adulthood.
Yeah.
You keep growing for the rest of your life. Even your body, it'll keep changing for the rest of your life. Don't let it fool you. Puberty's not the end of body torture.
I mean, I'm not going to stay this way forever?
No, you're not. I am so sorry. You got like maybe 2 or 3 more years where you're still feeling good. And then it's just, from my experience.
Well, I haven't felt good for like 2 years now.
Well, you also
the
had...
pains.
You also did laborious work for a year, so your body's probably a bit more aged, because that's the other thing.
Yeah.
What you do, eat, and just the way you live your life will age you differently, which is just horrifying.
Gotten real good at ignoring pain, though. That's...
Yeah, I feel like that's something that all adults eventually do.
Yeah.
Because you learn how to
Am I dying from this? No. Okay, we're good. Do I feel like I could be dying from this? Maybe. Okay, let's go to the doctor.
Yeah. Oh my god, and I blister and bruise so much easier than I did when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. Aging is awful. Enjoy your youth. That's the other thing is like, why is there such a big push that, okay, well, you're 17 now, so you're going to be adult in a year. You better get ready. You better hurry up and grow up. Why is there such a push for everybody to grow up so fast? Like, yeah, you should reach a certain level of maturity by at some point, but why have somebody with their prefrontal cortex undeveloped be responsible for so much? Like, they're physically not able to. Your brain isn't fully developed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the time where you should be learning how to be, and there should be that grace period and that extra help, so that way once they are capable of thinking about the bigger picture, they have the tools in place.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be more of a transition between teenagers, so you're a kid, and now you're a fully grown adult. Feel free to sign up for a war that could easily kill you, or start taking drugs that you may or may not be able to deal with on a daily basis. Like, that's, or even worse, sign up for this program that may or may not make you wealthy, but definitely go into debt to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you can't put that on a kid who isn't physically capable of understanding the long-term ramifications, because if we do a brain scan on them, I can show you the part of their brain that deals with long-term processes, and we can physically see that it's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
That is just the cold, hard science about it.
I don't know. It feels like sometimes we don't want to let our kids be kids anymore. Like,
yeah, just let them go around and kiss at the waterside and spend their summers in the sun and just make the dumb mistakes. Make the dumb little mistakes that all kids make, like stealing cigarettes.
I suppose.
Oh, I miss my youth. Oh, it was so much. Like, the other thing is, when you're young, feelings are so much bigger. Not that you get desensitized to it, but I remember, like, having my feelings hurt and it just feeling like the end of the world.
Oh my god.
Right? Like, so dramatic, but it's like, those feelings are valid. Like, those are real. They're really feeling like their world is ending. Because somebody told them that their hair is ugly.
Or that Michael or whatever the coolest kid in school is like, he doesn't like me. Oh, but I love him.
And he don't love you.
Yeah.
Interesting that you think my husband's the coolest kid in school.
That was a coincidence.
Was it?
The first name that, okay, yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's because in my middle school, the coolest kid was like some sort of like Michael or Miguel like name. I just forgot.
I remember the coolest kid in my school, Sam Gutierrez.
Oh, last name too. Name drop. Hey, Sam, what's up? Thanks for listening.
You're going to be a president one day, I'm sure. Like, he was cool because he was so smart and so nice, and I would have failed so many classes without the free tutoring that he would do at lunch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would show up to every class, even
he
if
just
I
sounds
wasn't.
like a good guy.
He was popular because he was perfect. He was just a perfect specimen.
Jesus.
Yeah. But that's neither here or there.
I'm sure he was built too, right?
No.
No?
No, he was like a little bit shorter than you, but a bit stockier.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't like the biggest looker.
That would have been...
But that didn't matter.
That would have been completely unfair. It's like...
But he wasn't bad looking.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that helps, right?
Yeah, until he had a very approachable face. It was just like, perfect. Perfect person.
Oh, no, he was approachable too?
Yeah, he was very... And he had all the social skills that I did not.
Sam, leave some for the rest of us. Goodness.
And I'm only saying his name because he's perfect, and he's going to be the president one day. Sam, if you're listening to this, I highly doubt you are, but if you are and you are uncomfortable with this, email me this, and I will immediately take it down and edit out your name. very second I hear from you. But I will also be like, oh my God, Sam knows anything.
Oh my God. He listens to our podcast. Oh my God. I hope he does.
Me too.
Not email you, but that he listens. That'd be great.
Oh God. I'm sure he does. I'm sure nobody remembers I exist from my high school.
Ouch.
I hung out with the college boys around the block. Yeah, that's on me. I didn't have friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had friends, but they were groomers, not real friends.
Ooh, that's not good.
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, so then I guess I would ask if they were actually your friends and if they were groomers.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so now that you've been on the side of being the adult in the situation, how does it feel to you when we do stuff like, I can't think of a specific example, but I'm sure you do, of when I am adulting at you or when I am mothering you? Because I know I have the habit of mothering people who don't need to be mothered.
Oh my gosh. My reflexive response is to roll my eyes and just be like, ugh. Partly because whenever you are like mothering me or anyone around me, I recognize that it's valid for sure, but I also like recognize that you are mothering in that moment, and just like, oh, can we just hang out?
See, that is my knee-jerk reaction. For example, going back to Lotus Flower has let me know to my face, which I really respect, that they do not like me as a person because I remind them too much of the women in their life. And this was after I reminded them that they need to eat regularly, and I was talking about the difference between processed foods, the nutritious food.
They need to hear that, because that's something that I see they continually like do not eat meals. Like they go without meals,
or they just eat nothing but junk food and dessert.
That too,
which you could definitely do as an adult. You're right, but I am and was and will continue to be concerned about Lotus Flower's health. And so when I hear them talking about being hungry, I don't mean to, but I'm like, you're so young, you are growing, your prefrontal cortex needs the nutrition, your muscles need the nutrition, other parts of your male physiology are still developing, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't think we'll ever be monetized if I start talking about the particulars of what happens to the male genitalia at that age. But
fill in the blanks there.
Yeah,
I think we're
but
good.
Like, so much of his body is still growing, and if he puts nothing but junk into it, he is going to be regretting it later in life because it's going to be worse. And so what do? I start talking to him like, eat your food, please. Like, have a real meal, and pizza can't be the real meal every single day. And like, that was never anything told to me when I was growing up. I was very much encouraged to watch my waistline, and it's okay if you skip a couple meals here and there, as long as every now and then you have a giant meal to make up for it, which is what caused me to have my binge eating issues.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and like, I still have problems eating in front of people, and I still overeat and undereat. And it's because nobody took the time to be like, hey, your health is important. This is how you be healthy. And so when I see somebody young doing unhealthy things, I really need to work on it. But my first instinct is like, hey, your body and you are special and wonderful, and you need to actually take care of it. And there's so much bad information out there that is going to encourage you to have bad relationships with food. And then I just go on this tirade.
I get in a similar way, but for me, it's more like when I identify a pattern that like any of my students are going through or anyone in my life, like if I hear a similar like beat of something I've already gone through, I can't help myself but be like, okay, maybe don't do that.
See, and then you become the nagging adult too.
Yeah, I try and back it up with my personal lived experience of like, well, I've been there, I've been in a similar way, and here's what I've found, and you know, you can continue down this path, but I can tell you it's most likely going to end up going this way. And it's either received or it's ignored, and then they have to contend with that. But
yeah. And, you know, I don't mean to mother. I really don't. But I just can't help myself. It is.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you're experiencing what it's like on the other end. And I know that, like, your students aren't necessarily adults. And when you're, like, adulting to a kid, it's totally different than when you're adulting to, like, another adult. And there's also this, like, existential dread that'll pop up every now and then. It's like, oh my god, I'm that adult. And it's horrifying.
That's, yeah. I'm joining the ranks.
You're joining the ranks of...
Adulting.
Welcome. Welcome to the ranks.
I don't know if I want to be here yet.
But that's okay. You're just now entering the 23-year-old phase. When you get to 26, you're going to have your quarter-life crisis, and that's okay.
But I'm not. I'm 25.
Oh, you're right.
Oh my god.
I keep thinking of you as younger. I really do. I can't help it.
Well, thank you. That means that I'm not quite at the doorsteps of adulting, adulting yet. So.
You know what I think it is about you that keeps me stuck at, oh, you're in your early 20s?
Mm-hmm.
It's your relationship maturity. The way you are about it. It's like, oh, that's really cute. You're like, you're testing the waters. You're getting there.
Oh.
And then your sweet naivete, which is so endearing.
What? No.
You are such an optimist in just the most precious way.
I like to.
And I hope that you keep that for the rest of your life.
Okay. Sure, I'll try.
You're rolling your... He's rolling his eyes at me, guys.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. I saw it.
Didn't. I looked up at the lights, and then I looked back down. There was no roundabout roll. It was an up and a down motion.
So you're not respecting my authority. You're rebelling against...
This is not rebelling.
You're rebelling against me.
We've established what my rebelling looks like already. And seeing as how I'm still here and not out in your garage messing with power tools, I think I'm not quite rebelling yet.
Well, I do have power tools and stuff that needs to be worked on in the garage, so don't tempt me. I'm in a lot more of a quiet neighborhood because I'm old. And we saved up enough money to go into debt to buy a house.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to be there one day.
It's going to get harder and harder for every generation. Yeah, so you're actually at the point where I had my first quarter life crisis.
I was going to say midlife crisis?
Yeah,
oh, no.
It's a quarter life crisis. And then, so when you're like 17, you're like, oh, I'm almost there. And then you hit 20 and you're like, oh shit, I'm here, but I'm not like actually here. And 23, you're getting it. And that's okay. It's okay to like learn, because that's what honestly should be. Is you should be expected to be growing and to get more mature and more put together. Mm-hmm. Like the weird expectation that you should have it all on lock by 26 is ridiculous.
No, I think you're right. As generations come up, it's going to get even more difficult because there's so much more that we're now talking about. There's so much more out in like, limbo that we're having very difficult conversations now. Like, I think there's so much more to like balance and come to grips with before you can like truly count yourself as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think there are those that count themselves as adults that haven't had them yet, have those conversations, that really could benefit from doing that. So in a way, they're not truly adulting to their utmost potential because they put that conversation off, or those conversations off. So it could be more than one.
There's so much to growing and maturing and learning how and where your place is in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think the most important thing we can do as individuals is help those around us reach their fullest potential.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast, right?
Yeah, we're helping youth and adults that we don't even know. And hopefully, they'll help us along the way. I'd appreciate that, because I need all the help I can get. Good God.
I think the real help was the friends that we made along the way.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, since we're getting sappy, we might as well do the end of episode advice. Would you like to start out this time?
Yeah. End of episode advice for adulting. I would say don't rush it. Like you're gonna have the rest of your life to adult. Don't rush it. Like, let it happen naturally. Enjoy the little things. And also I would argue in that point is in adulting, you don't have to kill like the child inside. You could still collect Legos. You could still play board games with your friends. You could still do all of the things, right?
So my stuffy collection's acceptable.
Yeah, like your stuffy collections is acceptable. I don't think one has to exist without the other. I think the two can live in harmony. In fact, I think a more complete adult learns to entertain the child inside while also balancing the adult responsibilities of living.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
My advice would be, it's okay to seek out advice from elders, but just know that those elders in and of themselves are also flawed, because nobody is perfect. And at no point in your life are you the harbinger of all wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. We are getting awfully close to the end of the season. I think we have 2 more real episodes and then the season review. So hold on tight. If you have anything you want us to talk about next season, if that is, of course, if Jake decides he wants to stay on for another season.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Send us the suggestions, because we want to talk about what you want to listen to.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Join the conversation. Find us on social media at It's Working Podcast or link below.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us next week.
Be kind to yourself and to others.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show. Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
Okay, let's talk about Lever Consulting. They help you create so many things. A perfect personal statement, application essays, presentations. They help create writings that truly represent you. They've got writers, editors, and even researchers. Lever Consulting can make all your stuff easy to read, understandable, and enjoyable. They truly take editing to the next level. Not only do they have flexible rates, they also offer assistance with college applications and job seeking. Check them out at leverconsulting.com and get a free consultation.